Hey, welcome back to this mini lecture. This one's on the cultural impact of the Russell Brand scandal. For those of you who may not know, Mr. Brand is a British comedian, TV personality, radio personality, actor, and most currently a YouTuber. He's been dealt with some legal and reputational issues. More specifically, there were accusations of rape, sexual assault, and abuse. The accusers were four women, one of whom was 16 at the time that this happened. The investigation into this, which led to this reputational and legal scandal, were a co-investigation by the Sunday Times, the Times, and Channel 4 Dispatches, which is the last is a British documentary unit, a program on Channel 4. The duration of the investigation, it started 4 years ago in the aftermath of Me Too. And it's taken 4 long years for them to put this all together. There's been some significant corporate fallout for Mr. Brand. His management agency, Tavistock Wood, no longer represents him. The Trevi Women and Children's Charity no longer is associated, as well as content has been pulled from Paramount Plus, the BBC, and Channel 4, as well. I believe his YouTube channel currently is demonetized. He is getting corporate support from Rumble, which is like YouTube, but more of a free speech absolutist platform, meaning that they will take all comers saying all things. I'm going to make some cultural observations, which I think in some ways is the most fascinating part of all of this, and I think is what I prefer to talk about. This whole thing speaks to this idea of the enragement industrial complex, or more specifically, I'd like to make it sound more simple, is the hot take economy. That's where someone is monetized and incentivized to say the most outlandish, outrageous thing as soon as possible. And this whole coverage, which is pretty heavy given he's just a YouTuber and sort of former TV personality, former film actor, it sort of speaks to this idea of finding any cultural touchstone and blowing it up as big as possible. Another one is based on this. This was what I like to call the Rashamon Syndrome. It's based on Akira Kurosawa's iconic Japanese film. It's like multiple perspectives of one incident. And what I found is if you sort of see the media coverage of it, especially the video coverage of it, it gives you multiple perspectives on the same thing, but it's all like this really narrow sliver, like just free speech, just corporations, just legal parts of it. And it's really difficult to have a story which has so many cultural and legal and social implications to discuss all those in one space. And this is just acknowledging it by doing basically the same thing. Oops. Something I found really unsettling is this idea of, like I like to call, celebrity binding. That is where people now, and maybe it's always been this way, maybe I just have noticed it more recently, they have a strong identification with various celebrities. So as using Mr. Brand as an example, he comes across as being anti-establishment, anti-authority, which is fine, you can take it or leave it. For people who like that, they really strongly identify with it. And the most troubling one I saw was someone who vehemently seemed to celebrate him and endorse him just basically because he did other things they like. So it's like, I like you, and I don't care that you've done something wrong, I still follow you, which is, I find, a bit troubling, for adults especially. One of the broader implications of this is it sort of reestablishes this idea of a lad culture, like lads. It's like the long time celebration of rogues and misbehavior. It's more colloquially called boys will be boys. And when you have a culture that celebrates bad boy behavior, boys will be boys, etc., that people follow that ethos, it makes complete sense. Like if you're going to celebrate it and you're going to monetize it, people will follow it. It also speaks to the idea of cultural dynamism and the rapid shift of mores and cultural standards. I was living in the UK back in 2005. He was all over the tabloids for some of his prowess with the ladies, if you want to say it most colloquially. And it's interesting how that was 2005, less than 20 years ago. That was celebrated back then. Now, fast forward 20 years later, that is not celebrated popularly. But as you see in county culture, you see people like an Andrew Tate who's doing sort of this lad culture, but for the social media age, it sort of speaks to this idea of our culture, especially after Me Too, for women's issues changing. And similarly, it speaks to sort of an idea of corporate dynamism and the idea that corporations and big business increasingly and quickly responds to cultural changes. So with this brand scandal dealing with sexual abuse, etc., the response by major corporations happened within days. And as well, they are responding to just allegations. There's been nothing legal that's come out of this that's fully been investigated. No charges have been laid as of this recording. As a result, it seems like corporations want to stay on the right side or the safe side of these types of scandals. That was cultural impact of Russell Brand scandal. What do you think about the scandal? What do you think will be its long-term cultural impact, and maybe short-term as well? Please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe if you like. Take care.